Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, my dear learners. This is Saiful Islam, an assistant teacher of a renowned high school of Bangladesh, and you are most welcome in my Saiful English Academy, dear learners. Hope that you are very fine by the grace of Almighty Allah, and you watched my previous classes smartly and with the reference of my previous classes. Today's class, I have been present in contact with you with a new arrangement, a new class named changing sentence from simple to complex to compound with the reference of my previous classes. So, dear learners, now let's take a look at the board and try to understand. At first, you'll have to mind that, my dear learners, in this class, there is a great relationship among them. That means three items at the time of oil and but you have to mind that, my dear learners, at the time of is used in a simple sentence, oil is used in a complex sentence, and is used in a compound sentence. So, my dear learners, with the reference of this relationships, I have written an example in the board. So, my dear learners, take a look at the board and calculation. At the time of copyright, mother ointment. Take a look at the board and try to understand. So, in this sentence, there is a principal clause and a phrase and a phrase. Okay, maybe that's but when you are going to change sentence of statement into a compound sentence, you have to mind that in a compound sentence there are a principal clause and a subordinate clause. So, my dear learners, already this sentence has a principal clause. Now, you'll have to change the phrase into a subordinate clause. Subordinate clause. But of course, you know that, my dear learners, what the precondition of what with the subordinate clause? You have to mind that, my dear learners, precondition of a subordinate clause is that at first you have to use subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction. Already, regard this. In this case, you'll have to use subordinate conjunction and so write subordinate conjunction and then write subject. Of course, you know that there is many subject in a phrase, but you will have to bring the subject from the principal clause. Subject of principal clause is mother, mother. Okay, my dear learners, then use finite verb. Of course, you know that there is no any finite verb in a phrase, but you'll have to change the non-finite verb into finite verb. In this sentence, cooking was as a non-finite verb, but you'll have to form sustains a verb into finite verb. Of course, you know that this verb is used according to the verb of principal clause. Verb of principal clause is of course a V2 form, so you'll have to V2 form of verb cooked. Then rice extension. Already it's present into a subordinate clause. Now write the principal clause. She into red. Okay, my dear, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. So already this sentence transferred into a complex sentence because in this sentence has a subordinate clause, etc., and principal clause, PC. Okay, my dear, let's of that you have understood clearly. My dear Leonard, suppose so now you're told to change the sense of statement into a compound sentence. So, my dear Leonard, what steps should I take? My dear Leonard, of course, you know that there are two principal clause joined together by coordinating conjunction in a compound sentence. Already, there is a principal clause in the sentence, but you'll have to change the phrase into a principal clause. Okay, my dear learners, hope that you have understood clearly, but you will have to mind that how will you form a principal clause? The precondition of a principal clause is that, my dear learners, at first you have to use subject, then finite verb, then extension. Okay, my dear, let's hence there is one subject of a phrase, but in this case you'll have to bring the subject from the principal clause. So, subject of principal clause is mother. Okay, learners, then write finite verb. Hence, there is no any finite verb in the phrase, so you'll have to change the non-finite verb into phrase. So write verb cooking, it turns into verb cook according to the verb of principal clause. Okay, learners, then write extension of this phrase and middle of this statement. You'll have to write coordinate conjunction and then write principal clause. She went to bed. Okay, Major, let's already this sentence has been changed into a compound sentence because in this sentence there is two principal clause. There is two principal clause joined together by coordinate conjunction, and hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, if you are change the sense of complex sentence into a simple sentence, you have to mind that, my dear learners. In the same way, you have to change the subordinate clause into a phrase, and if you are told to change such kind of statement into a simple sentence from compound, you will have to at the same way. Rapture turns the description goals outfits of the tour you have understood clearly. Okay, my dears, now I'm trying to show you another example. So many journalists take a look at the board and try to understand the time of reading English, Russia, into is called. Okay, Major, let's take a look at the board and try to understand. Of course, this sentence is a simple sentence because in this sentence there is a principal clause and a phrase. And according to the definition of a principal clause, it's of course a simple sentence because this sentence has a phrase and a principal clause. Okay, maybe let's now suppose you're told to turn the statement into a complex sentence. Maybe let's what steps should I take in the sketch? Maybe let's already there is a principal clause in the sentence, but in this case, to transform such of statement into complex sentence, you have to transform phrase into subordinate clause. Subordinate clause. Of course, you know that the main precondition of a subordinate clause is at first you have to write subordinate conjunction. In this case, you'll have to use on as a subordinate conjunction. Then write subject, write then write finite verb from the phrase, then extension. Now write the principal clause. Sorry, she went to school. Okay, maybe that's already this sentence tense into complex sentence because in this sentence there is a subordinate clause and principal clause. Okay, maybe let's that you have understood clearly. Suppose now you are told to change the sentence of statement into compound sentence. What's the steps should you check? Of course, it was told yeah, a few minutes ago in my first example. My dear learners, in this case, you'll have to change the phrase into principal clause. So, my dear learners, try to solve yourself. Main precondition of our principal clause is that first you have to write subject hence. So, there is no any subject in the phrase, so you'll have to bring the subject from the principal clause, right? Yeah. Then write finite verb from the phrase. Of course, you know that there is no finite verb in a phrase, but there is a non-finite verb in a phrase. And in this case, my dear learners, you like to change the finite, non-finite verb into a finite verb. So, write. Okay, rather than extension. And in the middle of the statement, you'll have to use coordinate conjunction and now write here another principal clause. She, I, Q, is full. Okay, that's already this sentence has been transferred into a compound sentence because this sentence has two principal clause which is joined together by coordinate conjunction, and hope that you have understood clearly. My dear learners, I can write more example to make you understand. So take a look at the board and try to understand. Oil, I, read, English, I, oil, shoe, beach. Okay, my dear learners. So what's category of sentence? Of course, it's a complex sentence because this in the English sentence there is a subordinate clause and a principal clause. Okay, maybe learners. And suppose you are told to sentence into a compound sentence. So, my dear learners, what steps should you take in this case, my dear learners? You have to mind that it's very easy. In this case, you'll have to delete subordinate conjunction when and use coordinate ordinary conjunction and middle of the statement. Okay, my dear learners, that's enough. So, right, I read English and I point to bet. Okay, my dear learners, this sentence has been already transferred into a compound sentence. Suppose you are told to change this statement into a simple sentence, my dear learners. What's the step should you check? You may check in this way. In this case, you'll have to transfer the subordinate clause into a phrase. In this, for this, at first you'll have to use right at the time of chime off. Then change the finite verb into a non-finite verb that means verb ing. Then extension. Then write principal clause. I, show. Then that's enough. Then that's enough. Literally, that's in this class. I'm trying to make you understand three relationship among at the time of when and end of the you have understood well. Major that's I don't want to learn into this class, but I want to share some information with you. Major learners, of course, you know that I'm a new teacher on a YouTube channel, and I'm trying to use English conversation at the time of making various kinds of video classes. So, major learners, if you notice in the first or mistakes in the midst of my video classes, please excuse me and try to all my tutorials so that I can help you in this way through my video classes throughout my life. So my dear learners, no more no more today come to see you again with a new version and a new class. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.